Kingdom Hearts doesn't really need an introduction, but I'm gonna give it one anyway. Being the brainchild of developer Tetsuya Nomura, Kingdom Hearts 1 is the 10th best-selling PS2 game of all time. Unlike Square's other role-playing games from that period, it used real-time action combat rather than the turn-based combat that Square games like the Final Fantasy franchise and Chrono Trigger were used to using. Even apart from its combat, the main thing that made Kingdom Hearts so different is that it combined the world of Final Fantasy, which was and still is Square's most popular franchise. They combined it with Disney. They mixed it with Disney, bro. Think of your favorite Final Fantasy characters, you know, Cloud, Squall, Sedaine. Now imagine them running around with Donald the Duck and Goofy. And as weird and not enjoyable as that concept may sound, it worked. It was a great game, the two worlds blended together really well, and it ended up not being as jarring or as weird as I thought it would be. And that brings us to the topic of today's video. Now we all know that Kingdom Hearts mixed the art style and aesthetic of Final Fantasy with the characters and worlds of Disney, but they also put some Final Fantasy characters into the game as well. Unlike the Disney characters, the Final Fantasy characters aren't just straight rips from their respective games. They have different names and slightly different outfits, but you're still able to tell who's who. Also, all the Final Fantasy characters have different backstories so they can fit into the Kingdom Hearts universe, but that's to be expected, to be honest. So yeah, without any further ado, let's go over every Final Fantasy character in Kingdom Hearts 1. Alright, so the first Final Fantasy characters you see in Kingdom Hearts 1 are actually in the beginning of the game. Sora's three friends on Destiny Islands are Titus and Waka from Final Fantasy X and Selphie from Final Fantasy VIII. They have slightly different character designs and they're aged down a bit, but you can still tell who they are. Titus basically looks the same, he still has that Beach Boy surfer dude aesthetic, but the armor on his left arm is gone, and as is that torso clothing thing he had on in the original game. And the same goes for Waka, he's missing the armor on his left arm and his overall outfit has been simplified, but he still looks the same. Selphie's clothes in Final Fantasy VIII were already kinda simple, so she's essentially just wearing the same thing in Kingdom Hearts. You can fight each of them individually, and once you do, you're able to fight all of them at once in this boss rush type fight. The fight itself isn't too hard. Titus is attacking you with a sword while Waka is just throwing balls at you, and Selphie is just, I don't know, in the background swinging her skipping rope around or whatever that is. It was cool to see Titus and Waka, but I don't know why they put Selphie in the game. It's not like I don't like her, but I just feel like they could have used Yuna or Riku, but who knows. Maybe they just didn't want two Riku characters in this game. Later on in the game, while you're in Traverse Town, you meet Squall from Final Fantasy VIII, and shortly after that you meet Yuffie, Aerith, and Sid from Final Fantasy VII. Meeting Squall for the first time was really cool, even though his boss fight was loaded. Seeing his cutscene where he just walks by and it's like, oh my god, that's the dude from Final Fantasy VII. It was cool, but I just hate those fights in games where even if you win, you still lose because of story reasons. Obviously, you're introduced to Squall before and during the fight, but after you inevitably lose to him, Yuffie shows up. You'll run into Sid later on as he owns an accessory shop in Traverse Town's first district, and you meet Aerith when she approaches Donald and Goofy. Once again, all of their outfits have changed, but this time Sid and Yuffie have completely different outfits, while Squall and Aerith's clothes are still similar to their Final Fantasy counterparts. To be honest, I prefer Squall's Kingdom Hearts design to his Final Fantasy VIII design. Maybe it's the shortened sleeves on his jacket or that he just looks a lot more buff, but I really like his character design in this game. Oh yeah, also the red symbol on the side of his jacket and his back, it's cool. It's really cool. All these characters would go on to appear in later games in the franchise, becoming important characters to the story. Riku from Final Fantasy X was originally meant to be in this game, but she was replaced by Yuffie because there was already a major character called Riku in the game. So yeah, I guess that offhanded comment I made about them not wanting more than one Riku in the game was right. Later in the Olympus Coliseum, Sora runs into Cloud, the protagonist from Final Fantasy VII who he has to fight. Alright, Titus and them being on the Destiny Islands was cool. You know, Squall showing up in Traverse Town was also pretty cool. Matter of fact, it was very cool, but they just don't compare to Cloud showing up in the Coliseum. I mean, bro, just look at his drip, bro. Look at the drip. I don't even want to compare it to what he wears in Final Fantasy VII just because of how different it is. And you know what? Because of how better it is. It still incorporates parts of his original design, but it also adds so much more. Bro, the red scarf cloak cape thing that he wears, the belts wrapped all over him, the wing on the right side of his body, bro. His character design in this game is just so unique. I also like how they changed his clothes from gray and black to dark blue. It contrasts nicely with the red scarf cloak cape thing, or whatever you call it. Like Squall, he also looks buffer in this game, and I think that may just be a side effect of making him fit into the Kingdom Hearts art style. In Final Fantasy VII, Cloud was skinny and tall, and in Kingdom Hearts, it's like they just made his skinny, lanky character a little bit shorter. It's like they squished him, like they just turned that extra height into width, and I am not complaining. All this paired up with the sword, which is not covered in bandages, it just kind of reminds me of Guts from Berserk. Apart from Cloud, Sephiroth, the main antagonist of Final Fantasy VII, appears during the Platinum match at the Olympus Coliseum. Sephiroth's design hasn't undergone as drastic a change as Cloud's has, but he still looks noticeably different. Like Cloud, he also has a wing, but it's on the right side of his body this time. And you know what? Call me a nerd, and you can say I'm looking too much into this, but I feel like this is This is obviously intentional, bro. I feel like it's like a metaphor for like how they need each other and stuff like that, and like how they need each other to make themselves whole. Because like you can't fly with one wing, but if you got two wings, then you can fly. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just bugging. Sephiroth now has these red streaks down his clothes and like this Batman gauntlet thing on his arms. I'm sorry, bro. I don't know how else to describe them. His changes make him look a lot more demonic and like monstrous than he does in Final Fantasy VII. I mean, assuming you're not talking about his final form. And since I was talking about Cloud looking like Guts, this guy Sephiroth is he's kind of looking like Griffith, you know? Maybe I'm onto something here, guys. Anyway, after you beat Sephiroth, Cloud shows up and there's this cutscene where they're about to start fighting, but it ends before they actually do. Cloud and Sephiroth coming face to face with each other will always be a legendary moment regardless of what game it's in, so I absolutely loved it. And those are all the Final Fantasy characters in Kingdom Hearts 1. I'll be surprised if I find out that like I missed anything, but let me know in the comments down below if you think I did. There are some things that I didn't mention, like obviously the potions, the skills, a lot of the items, they're based off Final Fantasy stuff, but those aren't characters, you know what I'm saying? So who cares? If this video does well, I'll try post a part 2, and if it doesn't, well then, I guess we'll never know. Blame yourselves. As always, this has been your boy Jugo Young, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.